Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Wine Down Wednesday with the Real Girls Wine. I am Yana or Yana, and my drink of choice tonight, right now, is water, but later on, I will be having a margarita.
Hey. And then I'm Teresa. I'm the other half of Real Girls Wine. Today I am having a Cadillac margarita because it's been a rough day, so wine just wasn't going to cut it. And then we have our special guest. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. My name's Alicia. I am with Drinking Together Apart. My drink of choice tonight currently is water, and it'll probably be something stronger a little later.
Well, welcome to our podcast, Wine Down Wednesday, where wine is sometimes not our drink of choice.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Alicia about her business partner. We're going to let you tell her about her. Her business partner couldn't make it tonight, but we're going to just go with the flow as we always do and have us a little fun and talk about her business and get to know about her. And then she can tell you at the end where to find her at, where to find them at, how you can purchase anything from them or learn more about their business. So let's just jump right on in.
Yeah.
So Alicia, tell us a little bit about how you and your business partner Ashley, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How you guys got started? How'd you meet? What made you come up with the concept? That type of thing.
Yep. So Ashley and I are best friends from college. So we've known each other about 20 years now, which is a little crazy to say as well. But we went to college together. Everybody thought we looked alike. We commonly got mistaken for each other, and that is essentially how we became friends. It's because who do you think I am? Is figuring that out, right? So, but we've been best friends ever since, and so. Ashley was a year ahead of me in college, graduated, went to grad school, also in North Carolina. And so we were always visiting each other when she went away to grad school. I went away to grad school in Florida. We still continued, but we would constantly hop on the phone, give each other life updates, just talk, see what was going on. Always each other's kind of go-to person in a sense. And so had been doing that for since college, regardless of degrees and jobs and locations. And at one point I lived abroad. And so always managing to keep that connection with each other. And so then when I moved back to this US about 6 years ago, finally getting to connect more in person. And in 2019, we were together. I think one of us came to visit another one who was at a conference, and birthed this idea of just what we had naturally been doing with each other for the past 15 or so years, which was drinking together apart. And so making sure that we always had an avenue of staying connected to one another. It just usually happened to be over a glass of something or a bottle of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was during one of our phone calls later that one of our partners had asked, "What are you two doing?" Because it was just, of course, natural for us to kind of be on the phone and quirky and laughing. And it kind of was the duh moment of drinking together apart. Because I live in Indiana, Ashley lives in Florida.
Okay.
So it's still that continuation of our relationship, but just not as frequent as we would like it to be right now because we're quite busy women, but always managing to come back together and catch up with each other and give each other a dose of life and maybe some wanted and unwanted advice. So.
Okay. So that's a long standing friendship.
Mhm.
I know Miana and I have been friends since we were 15.
Oh, wow.
We're about to turn
21.
yeah.
You don't look a day older than it.
49.
You're
49.
49. But we've been friends for that long, and it's hard to find good friendships that can last and stand the test of time, because we go through you go through your ups and downs, and especially when you think about being putting friendships together that have been that long, and then you're incorporating business, because so many times they say don't mix business and friendships, because they sometimes they can tear up friendships. So um
and we certainly learned our lesson with that. We know each other's strengths, and we know when each other is having their buttons pushed, and I'm going to stop the conversation now, and I'm going to give you a minute, and then we're going to come back to this and bring it up another way and talk through it, and have those very real conversations with each other of, you know what, you may be getting on my nerves right now, but I see your point, or I don't agree with that, and being very comfortable with each other to disagree and have that healthy discourse.
Yeah. And that's what it takes, because then you can grow and become successful. And I mean, what better way to become a success than is with your best friend, and instead of a stranger. It's like you can meet people short term and like, oh, there, let's start a business, and sometimes those things can end up very ugly. But if you have a friend that's also like a sister,
Yes.
you can, like you said, work through those things to make it grow and get to where achieve a lot of success. And it's nice to have someone that you trust to do it with.
Yes.
And someone that you know is going to have your back.
Yep. And that's very important. That trust aspect is very important to both of us.
Yeah, and you already know the person.
Yes.
So it's like you said, when to back off and when to listen and when to deal with each other's each other's strengths and weaknesses, and how to separate and just come back together later, and then come back and then talk things out. So that's really good.
And you learn not to hold a grudge also, because like Teresa said, that person actually cares about you, and what they're feeding into you is with love. Yes. And wanting you to grow. So it's not from a malicious point. So
yeah. And also, like, I can be mad at you, but at the end of the day, like, this is my best friend, pretty much my sister, and it's like, I gotta call her and I gotta tell her and give her this update anyway. So like, it just goes away. Like, sometimes it just falls away, right?
We just had a conversation about that, because Teresa was like, I know when you're upset, because I'll say, let me call you back, and I won't talk to her until the next day, because I'm trying to calm down and gather myself. So it's true, but we've done that and we've disagreed, but we always come back and like, okay, I'm upset, but I'll talk to you tomorrow. So that's how that goes. So it helps to have that close-knit relationship. So we talked about how you got started. What are some of the things that you learned starting off with creating your business?
Oh, wow. I feel like we learned so much so fast. I think we were in the ideation phase for a really long time, and it might have been a long time to me and not for her, just because we are very different. And then one day we flipped the switch and we were in go mode. And so for me, I felt like we were learning as we were flying the plane, in a sense. And so we did have things in terms of working with our lawyer and going through the process of getting all of our documentation and trademark and LLC and all of that handled ahead of time. But it was the creative process that I have a lot of ideas. I have big ideas, and Ashley is the one to come back and say, okay, but let's rein it in and kind of focus on one thing at a time. And so learning how to do our website, learning how to make small updates or do a different integration. So we were able to make changes on our own to our website, and then changing platforms at one point in time. I am not super technologically savvy, but I have learned the back end of WordPress and Shopify and Printful and lots of other platforms very quickly as a result of this. And so
It's very tedious.
It is. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing always leads to another, and it's like and by the time I learn the one thing, I'm like, but I need to do this, and I'm like, I don't have the brain capacity to learn about that today. So then it gets kind of pushed, and then also doing this in conjunction with our full-time jobs, which at one point in time can be both taxing for both of us.
Yes.
It can sometimes be a few weeks or a few months before we are like, oh, we need to get back into DTA, which is what we call drinking together apart.
Right.
We need to get back into it. We need to prioritize it. What does that look like? I'm coming to visit you. We're going to call it a retreat, and we're going to focus. And it's that cycle of it, right? But it's something that we're passionate about and we're excited about, but it's also a kind of a side project to our livelihood. And so like how learning to balance both of those things along with life, life's, and so how do we balance all of those things? And sometimes it's what do we let fall, and being okay with, you know what, drinking together apart, like it's stable right now. We have goals for it, but we're not going to do X, Y, and Z because we just need to get on stable footing. And so knowing when that balance needs to happen.
Yeah, we've learned that because we've like life for us for like 2020 into 2023 into 2024. Now because we usually have multiple events and things going, and then finally one day just recently I was like, we haven't had any events. We've done like our private wine tours and things like that, but we haven't had any events. And I'm like, okay, it's time for us to get back focused. Like we've kind of been off, and we have to keep it moving and getting back focused. And so some people don't realize as business owners, it really means putting everything that you have going on to the side from a emotional, personal standpoint, to the side, and having to deal with what's happening with this business. Yes. So because you might hurt yourself or do something, and it's like, okay, the business, I got to take this little time off. But if you don't stay active,
yeah, it can be hard to get back into it as well.
Yeah. So, yes.
Yeah. So I got in 2022 going into 2023. Ashley lives in Florida. She was going through a hurricane down there, and in that sense, and then I was changing jobs within higher education where I work, and so it very much felt like just all the overwhelm, right? And so we made the decision like, hey, we cannot do this right now. We just cannot prioritize it in the way that we want to, and that's okay. We'll pick it back up when we have the capacity to, and be very honest we're also very honest with each other, with others, and our social media is honest too in terms of when we post, how we post, what we post, and so we were very honest when we got back into social media that, hey, life was lifing, and we were still trying to do things in the background, and we just couldn't, and so we took a break, and now we're back, and so here's what we're doing now that we're back.
Right. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So now since we're going into that part, talking about, so how do you make time to combine all of those things?
That's a great question. I don't I don't have the magic answer to it, right? Sometimes I don't. What's that?
No, I was saying, are you still trying to figure it out like us?
Yes, absolutely. I don't always have the answer to that, and some days I don't. Some days it's I can only focus on one thing at a time, and some days that's my full-time job, and I come home and I just don't have the capacity to hop on our website and make an update or post anything on social media. And so I let that be okay. And I lay on my couch with my cat and I read a book, and I watch some sporting event on TV, and I call it a day. And then we just try again the next day. Right. And so I also think it was important for me to learn that it's okay that your attention can't go to everything, right? And so for a while, that wasn't our social media. So we haven't really been updating our social media as much as I had hoped we would this year, and that's okay. I've gotten okay with being okay with things not happening, which was a huge lesson for me. But we weren't updating our social media, but it didn't mean that we weren't doing anything. So we were still doing live events in the background. We were still connecting with people. We were still having conversations about the business. It just wasn't on social media. So I'm still trying to find the balance, the magic balance of what works in terms of, I've tried I'm gonna set a SMART goal, and I'm gonna say this many hours a week or this many hours a day devoted to our business. And I do really well with a routine for about 6 weeks, and then I'm like, I'm bored with routine, or I travel or something happens, and I'm like, well, there goes that. I tried. We'll try something else next time.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now let's talk about drinking together part. Tell people about the business itself.
Yes. So we sell signature drinkware. So when you cannot be with your family and friends, whether that's for a birthday, a bachelorette party, a wedding, whatever the case may be, you all can kind of each get a glass, a cup, a mug, a wine tumbler, fill it up, hop on FaceTime or Zoom or Teams or whatever you use, and just have a good time and catch up. So similar to what we're doing now, all being in different locations, but we would have our glasses and our mugs and whatnot, and just be drinking together apart.
Okay. And I know I looked up some, and you looked up some of the items. Cute glass, the very cute products, and very cute items. How do you decide what are some of your best sellers? Like, if you think about it, like what are some of the things that are some of your best sellers?
Our original bestseller, we had a rocking whiskey glass. If I was home, I would be able to show it to you, but I'm away at a conference right now for work. So, but we had a rocking whiskey glass, and we like to say that, you put it on the table, put your whiskey in, and it dances with you. And then we haven't been able to, they discontinued the glass. We haven't been able to find a new supplier that we like to bring that back into rotation. So one of those things that we work on in the background, right? On our list. Shot glasses are hugely popular with folks. I would say our shot glasses, our champagne flutes, and then our stemmed wine glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm on the site right now, and it looks like you have not only cups and mugs, etc., but you have clothing. You even have leggings, and is this a baby onesie and a bib?
So the kids, we're thinking of the kids too. And the new moms, like you and your friend just had a baby, like you're drinking together apart, and so are your kids. Like it's a family affair.
Too cute.
Yes. So we're also a lot of our items. We're a drop shipping business, so a lot of our items we partner with. Printful was one of the sites that we use. Printful, Printify. There's all the different sites available, and so it doesn't cost too much extra to kind of put some additional products out there. And so we thought, why not? Let's see what happens.
Right.
So we haven't done too much in terms of clothing. We really kind of just do it for ourselves. It's really things that we liked and that we order. And then when we do live events, we do get for those. But the signature drinkware and the other drinkware items are our main products.
Okay. Yeah, because I know and the other thing I saw you guys with Nicole Carney of Sip and Share.
We love them.
She was our very first podcast guest when we first started. Shout out to Nicole. She was our very first podcast guest when we started our podcast. years ago. I mean, not years ago. When we first started, a year ago, she was our very first podcast guest,
Yes,
and then
we met her. We had the privilege of meeting her and the rest of the Sip and Share team. We
yes,
do the Michiana Wine Festival every
mm-hmm,
year.
mm-hmm,
And so we met them there one year, and
Mhm.
we kind of keep connecting with them whenever we
we
get a chance.
do. We
And
do too.
we
We
love
went
their
to their
products.
Yeah, we
So
went to the grand opening for her winery when it opened. We went to the grand opening
Mhm.
and we had so much fun. She was
Yeah,
very
she is so
hospitable.
great.
Yeah, so I did
Yeah.
see that.
yeah, and
Um,
actually, I met her brother on LinkedIn first because he also went to the same college that Ashley and I went to,
oh wow,
North
okay.
Carolina
Wow.
University College
Small
Ramp.
world.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, you met
Okay.
Dennis. Is that his
yes,
name, Dennis?
yep.
Hmm. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because one of this young lady that I met in Chicago that lives in Indiana, she knew Dennis and she was kept telling me she wanted me to meet Dennis. And somehow I ended up meeting Nicole when I went down to the Indiana Wine Fest. And then I ended up yeah, and then she and I ended up connecting there, and then we just kind of stayed in touch, when I would see her around when we would go to events. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, I got to introduce you to Dennis," and I was like, "I met him already." She's like, "Wow."
Yeah, they're great. I always love running into them and getting to connect with them.
So is it your love of wine that kind of um helped out, um when you guys were thinking, like, you know I know we brainstormed, like, it was my love of wine which started the wine tour business. And when
Yeah.
I started it, I was like, my best friend had to come with me. So I called her. I was like, "Hey, so I got this idea
That's how
and
it
I'm
always
calling
starts.
you. I'm calling you along with me. You want to do it?" And then she was like, "Sure." And then we just kicked off and been running since. And we've had a bunch of different events. Like, we do wine and tacos. We do um,
Hmm.
yacht parties. We travel across the country. We've been out of the country.
Yes,
Um,
I'm gonna have to get to some of these events.
Mhm.
yeah,
But yes,
we
love of wine. I think one of the trips where we started really discussing the business in a serious sense, I think was when we were in Canada on a wine tour. Uh,
mm,
and we went to
Mm.
several different wineries. So it's always just kind of been one of those go-tos, especially as we've gotten a little older and aged out of your regular college drinks.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
very easy to just pick up a bottle and a box of pizza and let's have it out.
Yeah, some nice
Mhm.
red wine, nice dry
Yes.
red. I
Hmm.
love
Love a
red
good
wine.
cab. Yep.
Yes,
Mhm.
Cab Sav is one of my favorites. A good Malbec, um, a Sangiovese. Like, Miana knows, already know what to go get me, like something dry. She'll be like, "Yeah, they had this." Every now and then,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
hard
on
to
the
find a
other
good
side of
Pinot.
that.
Yeah, so
Yep. Well, usually when we go visit each other, it's like I don't even need to. You don't even have to ask. Just get me something. She knows to get me something red, and like that's fine.
Yeah, that's Teresa, but I'm on the other side. I like sweet white.
Mm,
So, but I'll
yeah.
I'll do a dry. I'll do a red blend
okay.
every once in a while. And different wineries we go to, I will go on the dry side, but it just depends.
Yeah, I've tried to go back into white wines, but I feel like once I switched over to red, I couldn't
See, I'm
go
glad
back.
I'm not the only one.
Not alone. Not alone at all.
And I can't do super sweet anymore.
No. Which I have a huge sweet tooth. Like I love sweets and dessert. Like I love it, but I can't do it in wine.
Now I like port wines though.
I can't do
Yeah, I like a good port.
it.
Yeah, I can do that. And then we both love prosecco.
Well, yes.
What's not to love about prosecco?
Yes.
A
That is,
prosecco rosé or just prosecco
I do
gets me
a
every
brute. Yep.
time.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I do. I like a good brute,
Yep.
so that it's not that
Mhm.
sweet. I don't want that sweet prosecco. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
that's my weekend go to. Like, let's kick
Mm-hmm.
off the weekend just right. Here I
Yes.
come.
and
Here I
and
come.
and I always, that's my excuse. You can open this any time of the day.
Yep. Especially once the weather. So living in Indiana, I get lake effect snow, so it's winter
Mm-hmm.
more often than I would like it to be. But then once that weather
Yeah.
changes, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Hmm.
where's the
Yes.
prosecco? Go to
Ex-
Costco, get a few bottles. Listen, it's great.
yes.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I sit on my balcony and just look at the sights and have a glass of wine after a long day. It definitely changes your mood. So
I
we've
have
talked
a
about wine.
hammock in
We've
my
talked
backyard.
about, oh, okay, how
Yep.
you started your business. What's some advice you would give to someone that's starting a business with a friend? We kind of talked about where we started
Mm-hmm.
and what we went through. What advice would you give someone?
Yeah, I think if you're doing this with a friend, it has to be somebody that you trust explicitly. It's somebody that you have no qualms about being honest with and hearing constructive feedback from. I think that is crucial to the process. And like we said earlier, I know it's coming from a place of love and there's no malintent and we can push each other's buttons, but at the end of the day, that's my girl, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think if your relationship is solid, then that's something that you can. It would be something I would consider. There are certain friends that I know I would not do this venture with. Right? I just don't know that our friendship would survive it, or the business would survive, or maybe both.
Hmm.
So I think that's really, really important is having that solid foundation within your friendship, being able to hear that constructive criticism and knowing when to give constructive criticism to your friend. I think one of the things that we learned is being able to have alternating schedules of
Mm-hmm.
busy times, especially if you're doing this and still choosing to keep your full-time job. So we both have careers that we love. She's in the medical field and I am in higher education, and we have studied for these careers and we have the terminal degrees. And so we're dedicated to them. And so I know when things kick up for her, versus her less busy times and vice versa. And I think that also can really help with managing the business aspects of it. I think also knowing your
Hmm.
strengths. Um, and so she handles more of the back end business side, and I know enough to know what's going on. And like if I can pick it up and know who to ask some questions to, should I need to. And then I'm more on the creative side, and she can do the same, right? She knows. I tell her, "Hey, guess what we're doing this weekend," and she kind of can know what's happening. But we both have our strengths and kind of CEO, COO areas,
Mm-hmm.
would say, and knowing kind of when you're too far in CEO mode, when I'm too far in COO mode, and kind of pulling each other back, so that we're still on task.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's great advice. Thank you.
So, what are some of your highs of the business? What do you think some of your greatest achievements, your highs are?
Yeah, I think anytime we get to do a live event, so it's our goal right now to do a live event at least every quarter. And so we do the Michiana Wine Festival, which happens every April in
Mm-hmm.
Indiana. And so giving that, getting in front of people and being more visible is helpful, since we're mostly an online business.
Mm-hmm.
So some of our biggest highs are the live events. The Michiana Wine Festival, we've done, I believe, 3 years now, and we have a great time every time we're there. We did our first bridal show this year, which
Okay.
was an interesting experience, and kind of led to some different conversations and also some different ideas and how we thought about the business and marketing ourselves. And so our highs are definitely when we're able to kind of build the relationships, be in front of customers or potential customers. We see some of the same people at the Michiana Wine Festival every year, and they're always so excited to see us and us them. And so kind of continuing that, and they want to know the next new thing that we have, because we always showcase something new at that festival. And so seeing that repeat is always great.
Okay. Now, we
Yes.
all know we have a lot of highs. What are some of the lows of the business? What are some of your lows?
The website. The back end of the website takes me down every time. And it's especially when we were in WordPress, there was a lot, it wasn't as user friendly for me as Shopify is now for us. And so anytime we wanted to make a change, it took a lot of brain power and it took a lot of time. And so I think that was really hard, especially as you're starting out, learning those systems and wanting to be hands-on and learn the back end of things. And so now we're in a more user-friendly system for us. And so still has its challenges to it, and it can still be difficult, but it does take time to learn the system and the integrations and figure out what to do, how to make things easier. There are some things that we do and then backtrack on because we've found a better integration or way to do it. And so I think that piece of it is not as easy as we were hoping.
Yeah, when I was doing, because we use Wix.
Okay.
And Wix used to have another like program built in that was kind of like and it was so much easy. It was easy to use. And then one day I went in, and you used to be able to bounce over into one mode, and then you can go back into this other mode. And then one day I went and I went to the other mode, and it was like, yeah, you went over to this mode. You can never go back to that one. And I was like, no, because I liked the other mode better because it was more user friendly, very easy to use. I could do more things, and I was able to, do what I needed to do. And now I'm like, I mean, it took me a while. I'm better with it again on that back end now, but before I was like, I can't do this. I wanted to cry.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have cried. Are you kidding? I was writing my dissertation. Like, I just don't know. I just don't understand. Why won't you do what you just did? Oh, and then I've crashed our website a couple of times. And I like when we were in WordPress, we had a web developer that we were working with, and I'd be like frantically texting and calling, like, help, please help, get our website back up. Oh my gosh. I've cried over that website more often than I care to.
But it's so expensive as being a small business owner, you wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
We have to be our own social media manager, and you have to be your own like advertising. You have to be your own like everything.
Yes.
And it's really, really so hard.
Much. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I've gotten okay with some things just not happening, right? And knowing that it's all on us. And so what happens is us making it happen. And sometimes with our careers, our lives, just mental capacity, we don't have it. And it's okay. And it's going to be okay. It's going to have to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, and it's either that or go crazy.
And I refuse.
You have to give yourself some grace.
Right. There's other things that can make me crazy. This is a choice that we've made. It's supposed to be something that is fun for us, a creative outlet based off of an idea that we had. And so when we get to the point where it's more stressful, then we need a break.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you're at that point where you can say, I need that break. It's very important to have that work-life balance, because if not, you'll burn yourself out, and then you're no good to anybody. So
yes,
yeah, I'm not quite there yet. I'm still like my brain works overtime, I'll text Miana will wake up with text messages from me like, I'll never forget. So last year we had an event called House of Mimosas. I was at, it was Martin Luther King weekend, and I was at an event at the Horseshoe where they had all these different house DJs that came and played and mixed at the thing. And in the middle of the floor, I'm like this on my phone. Hey, because we have ambassadors. And I text her and the ambassadors. I'm like, hey, what do you guys think of House and Mimosas? And I'm supposed to be having a good time. But that's where my brain was at. And they were all like, yeah. And
Yes.
and from there, like right in the middle of the floor while I'm doing that, I had already I created a flyer for it and everything. And then we made it as a private location till we actually, and then we posted the location later of where we were going to have it at. But yeah, I had already like got going.
Yes.
My
Actually,
brain just does not turn off, and I need to learn how to get it to turn off.
yes, I know I drive her nuts. Again, it's part of like having that solid foundation, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know I drive her nuts, but I also know I'm going to forget. And so I have to text you and tell you when it's on my mind because I'm going to forget.
Yes.
And so she goes to bed early and I stay up a little later. But so she knows that some days if she knows I'm up doing things for the business, like you're gonna wake up with like 15 messages from me. I'm sorry, you know what you signed up for. Like I either need your opinion, or I'm telling you what we're doing, or I'm getting you to proofread something, or proof of like an Instagram post.
Oh,
like,
so you're the me in the business.
Yes.
Like you're me and she's Miana.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're gonna
Miana has to reel me back in all the time.
And then she'll wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and just like, I can't with you today.
Yep, I get that too.
And I'm like, okay, so I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, we'll talk tomorrow, no problem.
I get the same thing. Like, I can't with you. She'll tell me the same thing. I can't with you today. And my message will be like, see if you can reach out to such and such and such and such and see if they have these dates available. And then she'll be like, when she wakes up, she'll have all these different things.
To do.
I'm like,
yes. Because I'm like, and here's your deadline. Because I'm deadline driven. Ashley's more of the free spirit of the two of us, and I'm like, nope, what we're doing, and this is and so here's your to-do list. Here's your deadline. Here's what I need from you for our social media, and by when. And I give you a little grace. You know, I never give you the actual deadline so that
that's me.
She drives her insane.
I know I drive her insane, and that's when we get to that. We'll be saying, she'll be like, let me call you back. And then as soon as I hang up, I go, she's not calling me back tonight.
No. Oh, no. She's not cool. Or no, she's not calling me back this week. It's fine.
Well, I'm not that bad. I will call her back the next day, but I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing this tonight.
Yeah, she'll be like, as soon as she says that, she'll be like, yeah, let me call you back. I already know it's not going to be a call back tonight.
I didn't say when. I just said, let me call you back. I didn't say tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that helps to balance.
I'll make sure to say, but I need your answer. If you don't get, but I do listen. If you don't give me an answer, I'm going to go with what I got. And so, if you want input, this is your moment. And
that's me. I'm like, but we got to get this done. We got to get this scheduled. And then she'll either, if I give something, post like a date or something. If that date works for her, she'll give me the little thumbs up on the post, on the text message. And then I'll be like, okay. And then I'll know that she's not calling me back. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
So I was on the site and I see that you guys have a Dr. Bolden Scholarship Fund. You want to talk about that?
Yes. Yep. So Dr. Bolden is my partner who passed away 4 years ago, right before COVID hit. Not
Sorry
from COVID.
to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah. So he was a big supporter of the concept and of the business. And I think he was waiting to see what we were going to do and how we were going to get into this. And so he did not get to see it come to fruition. But I'm still very close with his family. They are still great supporters of me in my personal and professional endeavors and the business. And so when he passed, they created a scholarship fund in his honor that supports a student from his high school in Indiana to go into essentially an altruistic field. And so he was a physician. And so the last few years, I believe the scholarship recipient has gone into or plan to go into the medical field or study at their respective colleges. And so we knew when we created the business that we wanted to do something in terms of a give back. And we just didn't know what that was going to be. And this all kind of happened all at the same time. And so we, when we were brainstorming about moving forward with the business and this particular part of it, Ashley was also knew Dr. Bolden and knowing that he was also in the medical field, this tied to something that she was connected to as well as a medical practitioner. It was just an easy point of connection. So it's not just a creative project for us, it's a passion project for us as well. And so a small portion of our profits every year go towards his scholarship and assisting somebody with going to college.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Giving back.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking.
That may your business continue to be blessed for even doing that.
Thank you.
Because so many times, especially as a small business owner, most of what we make in business really goes back into our businesses. And, people think like, oh, you own a business. Like they think that you'll have this money. And then you're like, no, because I got to pay the website vendor. I got to pay this. I got to pay for this. If you have a private email, like we have info at Real Girl, that costs with Google, you got, and those costs add up. And it's like, that money is going out, like, paying for our podcast, platform and different things like that. We have expenses. So, and you putting the money back into the business so that when we do have wine tours and different things like that, we're not having to come out of our own respective pockets to pay for deposits for our transportation and different things like that. So that is an awesome thing. I'm hoping that we can do something like that one day, have something like that, to be able to give back to someone, because that would be something that we would definitely love to do.
Yeah,
I'm taking notes.
It's a great connection to this. And it was also because it all happened around the same time. It also helped me through the grief process. So
yeah. And it knows you that it's given to someone who did something for so many people.
Yes.
It's we always see people giving, and you're like, giving to them for what? They didn't even do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
It's like now the big thing of the honor, all of these honorary doctorates they're handing out.
Part two.
5 years for my piece of paper. That dissertation process is no joke.
I got friends that are doctors and nurses. The two friends that became DNPs, and they all tell me about it. Yeah. And then my cousin, she's a psych doctor, and don't even get me started talking about her when she talks about her process. So yeah.
I get the concept. I recognize, they've made significant contributions in their fields in their own ways, but the ones I get bothered by the folks who, now you can call me doctor. No.
Yeah.
Because I worked for that title.
Right. Like, no, you didn't stay up day in and day out
You
writing papers.
weren't crying trying to write sorry. No. Like no, those tears were real. those tears were real. You weren't staring at blank pages on your computer for hours at a time. Like, also my baseboards were never cleaner because the writing process is just. Anyway, sorry, tangent.
That's okay. That's good information. That's good information.
So we want to be we like to do this a couple times. First, tell people where to find you.
Yes, we are Drinking Together Apart on everything. So email drinkingtogetherapart@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. Drinking Together Apart on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a TikTok. We have not been keeping up on our reels because that is also like a full-time job. So we're most active on our Instagram is where you can find us most of the time.
Yeah, reels, and they're always like, "Oh, you should be doing reels all the time." The good thing about podcasts, though, is that we are able to create reels. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take some of our old podcasts reels that I've created, and then I'll go back and I'll just pick ones, and I'm like, let me just post this, and then I'll do that so that'll kind of give us a little grace. And then I'll find maybe some little funny drinking things that I'll maybe see on TikTok that might be, and I might use some of those reels. But yeah, other than that, it's
it's hard. It's also hard. It's like very time consuming. It's kind of like the website in some ways. Like I'm like, this is like to splice it together and like get it. So but then to shop with us, drinkingtogetherapart.com.
Okay. Yes. And you ship everywhere. You ship
everywhere in the U.S. Yes.
Everywhere in the U.S. We got to make sure we say that. Okay.
Yes, in the U.S. Yes.
Okay. So what do you do in your free time when you're not? What does Alicia like to do in her free time? Not Alicia, the businesswoman. Not Alicia in her career. You know.
Yes.
What do you like to do in your?
I am an avid reader. I love it. Getting lost in a book. I prefer physical books to my Kindle, but I've been getting more into my Kindle because that goes hand in hand with I travel quite a bit. I love exploring new places. I have family friends all over the country as well as in other countries. And so getting out and about and seeing new places is a value of mine. I am a runner. And so I try to get a couple miles in a couple times a week. And then also do a few races a year with my family. And so that's always a good time. One of my favorite roles is that I'm an auntie. And so
congratulations.
Getting time with my little people and getting to see them and see life through their eyes and what they get excited about and having their Auntie Lily time or their Titi Alicia time is really fun. So I really enjoy leaning into that role.
Okay, so I want to backtrack real quick since we were talking about. So I know, I don't think we said it on here, but I know we were talking about it. You lived abroad. Where did you live? So yeah,
in Qatar. I lived in Qatar for 3.5 years, working at a branch campus over there in Education City.
How'd you like it?
I loved it. Loved it. It's one of my favorite places that I've ever lived. And so I experienced life in a different way, especially in terms of work-life balance and actually seeing what that meant. There's a large expatriate population there. And so the sense of community was also very different. And it just felt like I was enfolded into a community immediately as I got there, and still great friends with folks to this day. And actually just saw one of my friends just randomly. We were both in DC at the same time, not too long ago, but still getting to connect with them. The travel was also really, really important piece of that experience. When there was vacation time or days off, the mindset for a lot of folks was, where are you going, not what are you doing? So I said, well, where am I going? So I did quite a bit of travel as well, but also getting an understanding of different lenses of privilege, different lenses of classism, racism, all of those aspects to it, as and how gender works in different countries and for different cultures. Just the experience itself was very transformative.
Okay. That's interesting because they always say, like, I've been, as you know, that's the one thing about that I love about TikTok. It opens you, it has opened up a lot more, and I've started to see more women of color moving to different countries
Yes,
and
I love it.
going out and doing different things and just and exploring life and finding different in different cultures and learning more. It's been a fantastic, and it's like, man, I wish I would have been that adventurous in that way, that I would go out excuse me, and move someplace to go just see what life was like.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely a big risk. But I come from a military family, and
Me
so
too.
my parents had been in the region before, so I kind of had a sense of a perspective in terms of what life was like over there at the time that they were there. I had a chance to visit and do a pre-employment visit prior to moving, and so I said, I mean, 3 years goes by whether I'm here or not, so why not just see what it's like here?
Okay. I
That was
think
a
that's
lot.
that. Yeah, I'm like, that was a lot, because that has to be really, I mean, I think I probably would have been scared first because it's about being so far away. It's nowhere that someone could just get to you within a 2-hour plane ride.
Yeah, that was a challenge, and I think that was the importance of creating community
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, I am very fortunate with my family in that um, distance kind of is what we know. What it is, especially with my parents both having worked overseas at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so prioritizing time with them and FaceTime calls, and sometimes that meant I was staying up a lot later on Sundays to check in with my family, teaching my grandma how to FaceTime and WhatsApp me, and so that I always had that connect. I'm very close with my grandmother, so always having that connection point with her was really
Mm-hmm.
important. And then I would take a month off in the summer and come back to the States, and then just kind of do a US tour, visiting all the
Mm-hmm.
doing some professional development and keeping those connections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing some drinking together apart.
Lots of it. Yes. Lots of it. Yes.
So what do you guys have on the horizon? Like, what do you guys have coming for the future? Like, where do you see the future of Drinking Together Apart?
Yes, we are, as I mentioned before, working to get to some more live events. So also wanting to expand our radius of live events. So right now it's really mostly in Indiana and the surrounding areas of where I'm at. Looking to push that into, can we do this in Florida, where Ashley is located, and then maybe looking into some bigger events that have a larger reach. So pushing more into live events is high on the priority list, so that we can let the kind of the website live and breathe as on its own for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where we are with that website. We're letting it breathe on its own for a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we just want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Yes. Thank you for having me, for having Drinking Together Apart.
Yes, we hope everybody will go and shop their site. Um, Drink It Together part. I know I'm going to get on there, and I know I'll be purchasing something.
Yes,
Yeah, I
love
saw a lot of stuff that I want. Like I said, it's kid stuff on there. It's glasses, clothing, bags. So
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
There's a
so
laptop keys, phone cases. Yep. You can
yeah,
accessorize
I did
those
see
too.
those.
yeah, so
Yep.
we just want to thank you for getting on. We know that you've had a long day.
Yes. Thank you so
Um,
much for having me. This was
Again, tell
great.
Ashley that she was missed today. We love to have you guys again, maybe in the future when you guys,
Absolutely.
if you get some new things that are happening and you want to talk about it, feel free to reach out. We love to have you guys again. And then maybe, hey, we'll have you guys bring some of your products and meet us for a tour. We drive through Indiana. As a matter of fact, we'll be driving through in August,
Let's
heading out.
chat.
Yeah,
Let's chat.
we'll be going through in August because we're going to Kentucky. This will be our third annual Kentucky wine and bourbon tour, and
Oh,
so
I've
we
heard those are
yeah,
good.
so we do our own. We have our bus, and then we drive down. We stop at Carpenter's Creek. We stop at Wildcat Creek on the way down in Lafayette and Rensselaer, and then we keep on driving down into Kentucky. And then that night we do a bourbon blending class that night and that evening, and then we get to make our own bourbon blend, and then you get to bottle your bottle and bring it back with you.
Oh, I
And
Mhm.
you
love
name it, yeah,
that.
you name your bottle.
Yeah.
And then the next day we go and do some wine tasting, and then we go to a distillery and do a distillery tour, and then we leave free time for people to either go out and eat and see some sights or drink. Last year everybody still rode with us because we love this Cuban restaurant there, and they
Okay.
have my favorite singer on a big mural. I love Celia Cruz, so they
Okay.
have her
Mhm.
on a mural inside of there, and we go there, and they have live music outside in the back sometimes. And we got to they happened to go on the day last year that they had the live band, so we sat outside with the live band, got some live music, and just had a good time. So we do that for the weekend, and we come back on a Sunday. So we'll be driving through Indiana. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
we'll chat.
August 16th through the 18th.
Well, we can chat. Yeah.
So everybody, thank you guys for tuning in to Wind Down Wednesday episode. Oh, season 2, episode 7. We will have one more podcast next month, and then we're going to take us a little break, and we will be back in October to start up after the summer into the fall. Everybody, have a good night, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a great night.